Yeah. So what's the argument for theism?
Yeah, hold on, let me get the argument real quick.
Okay, I'll wait.
Why is Marx
Okay,
there? He's always on death, and what's the
Once you get
point?
the argument, you can define what you think theism means.
obviously theism is the viewpoint that God exists. And atheism is opposing that viewpoint.
Yeah, what does
So yeah,
God mean?
what does God mean? I define God as a divine creator that possesses the attributes of omnipotence, omnipresence, omniscience, etc., etc.
Okay, and just to be clear, you're going to be establishing that a being like this exists, right?
What you say, bro? Repeat what you said.
Just to be clear, you're going to be establishing that a being like this exists.
Yes, obviously.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
that's obviously clear, bro. So yeah, let me
Yeah.
get the argument real quick.
Oh,
My
jeez.
bad if it's bro. I should just like fucking start and heart this shit so I can like. Okay.
Look. That's all in all, the decent and all. Usually bad on his coffin.
Okay, so it's gonna be my argument, bro. Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
can someone tell Seam to join real quick? Tell Seam to join before I give out the argument. Yeah, tell Seam to join, bro. I want
Yeah,
him to listen,
university.
bro. No,
That's
give me.
good.
Let me stay more.
Yeah.
Let me give like. I'm gonna elucidate further afterwards, right? But just
Wait,
wait
let
for
me just
Seam to
read the
join.
argument first. One sec.
Yeah, once you read the argument, you let me explain first without like trying to refute it, okay?
Okay, what do you mean by mode of existence?
Um, maybe I worded that wrongly, but essentially when I say like there's like it's basically just the ways of like origins of how you exist in a sense. 'Cause obviously, you exist as a necessity or a contingency. So if you exist as a contingency, you're required to something to exist, and you can fail to exist. A necessity is essentially the opposition to that, and you cannot fail to exist, logically
Wait,
speaking,
why would I?
in any
Wait,
possible
why
world.
would I? Okay. Why would I take issue with the case that contingencies can't? Well, obviously, given the model definition of contingency, a contingency can fail to exist. But why would I take it that all contingencies are dependent?
All contingencies are dependent.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in a sense that if contingency can fail to exist, okay, so what do you requirement as the origins of a contingency in this case?
Well, I'm just saying that it might be the case that it's possible for you to have a contingency that does not depend on anything external to it.
So essentially a brute contingency.
Well, yeah, brute contingent fact, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, so all right, so well, let me finish my argument first, and then I could also give out my disagreements with that. So obviously in P1 there, which is I'll just say like there are two modes of existence, either necessities or contingencies. You can deem that as the origins of either how the starts of someone to be existence or not. Either they like just doesn't fail to exist or can fail to exist, i.e. being necessities and contingencies. P2 universalized on its essential properties to exist. That being all knowledge, all powers, very existence, etc. I can deem all knowledge in a sense that, well, it's a linkage towards all these conceivable conceptions or ideations within this universe, and those are like
Wait,
the
okay.
properties within,
Wait,
such
I
as
need
like
some
gravity, etc.
clarification.
Wait,
I need
yeah,
some
yeah,
clarification.
please, can I like continue argument? Yeah, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead,
I
bro.
need clarification on the second premise. So,
Okay, sure.
yeah, so,
Yeah, what's the clarification?
okay. So when you say essential properties, what are the essential properties of the universe?
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's always in the premise too that being all knowledge, all powers, very existence. I could also
Why is
elucidate on
knowledge
that
an
further, but
essential property of the universe?
right, so do you know for a fact that well there are properties within the universe such as space-time, there are things such as like black holes, gravity, or other things and other ideations like conceptions and things. All those are conceivable information, right? Since it's a
What do you mean by
conceivable
conceivable
information,
information?
an information that can be understood, bro.
Okay, just
Conceivable,
because
understand from the mind,
wait
obviously.
one sec, wait one sec. Okay, just because information can be understood doesn't mean it's knowledge, because for something to be knowledge, it has to be currently known by an agent. And if the information isn't known by an agent, then it's not knowledge yet, because obviously the proposition or the information is prior to the knowledge, and the knowledge
No,
is
that's gonna be
posterior to the information.
No, that's gonna be no. That's gonna like the okay, sure. Since the usage is gonna depend on the agent, right? But since it's a conceivable information, either way, if we like remove all humans, there are other things that contains with the mind that requires for knowledge based upon their understanding of something. Either way,
Wait, one sec.
this thing is still
Slow down, slow
inconceivable
down, slow down,
information.
slow
No.
down.
Why are we telling?
Wait,
Yeah, okay. As I said
slow down.
again, it's still a
Wait.
conceivable information, right? If it's an information, it's some form of linkage towards what I can draw as knowledge, either if there is no agent or no
Yeah,
universe
it
to exist,
can
or
be
either
knowledge, but that
anything.
doesn't mean that it is knowledge.
What? Okay, yeah,
It
you
can
said
be
it can
knowledge,
be
but
knowledge.
that
Doesn't
doesn't
mean
mean that it is
I
knowledge
understand.
because
I
yeah,
understand, but I'm
wait,
saying
one
that
sec, wait, one
it's a
sec, one
necessity.
sec, one sec.
No, I'm saying that it's a property that requires the existence of said thing. I'm not saying essentially they're the same thing. Obviously, information, in a sense,
Listen, that
conceivable
doesn't answer my
information are not
question.
defined as knowledge. But knowledge is essentially just a tool linkage towards this specific conceivable reason or whatever. Now, I'm
That
saying
doesn't
is
answer my
this said
question.
information. Okay, bro. Okay,
Question
so I'm
was,
gonna
wait,
just
one sec,
continue again.
wait, one sec. That
Yeah,
just
your
for you to
question is why is
understand,
this an
wait,
essential
just for you
property?
to understand, wait, one sec, just for you to understand. The question was, why is it the case that knowledge is an essential property of the universe? If it's the
Yeah, now I'm going.
case
Yeah, I give
that,
the argument on that.
one sec. If it's the case that knowledge can fail, because again, knowledge is distinct from the information that's contained within knowledge, because the information contained within knowledge is logically prior to knowledge, and knowledge is logically posterior to the information, meaning that you have information, so you have information about the universe, and it doesn't need to be the case that any agent knows about the information. The information can still exist, but no agent knows about the information.
I
So
cannot.
if
Yeah,
that's the
listen,
case,
I
why is it
agree.
the case that the knowledge itself is
Yeah, listen.
essential, is
Okay.
to the universe?
Yeah, listen, I agree with you specifically. That's what you're trying to say, or this is what you're trying to convey. That's saying that if there is a conceivable not, information within our universe, and if there is no agent to specifically understood either way, you can argue that okay, all of these things are unconceivable from this said thing, right? But I'm saying that this is still a conceivable thing. It's an information that is conceivable. For example, we have things such as space
That's not
time
what
or
knowledge is, though.
singularities. Or no, no. Okay, why are you cutting me off, bro? Okay, I let you finish earlier, so don't cut me off. So as I said again, there are things or conceptions or other physical phenomena within our universe that we understood or not. You're arguing that since there is a part of information that some people cannot understand, what I'm saying is that information is
Nobody
still
made a claim
conceivable.
about
And
cannot
if it's
understanding.
conceivable,
Just
you
not
said
tracking.
that okay. If there's no, what do you mean no tracking?
No,
That's what you're essentially
I
saying. You're
said
saying
that for
if there
knowledge.
is no
Wait one
agent,
sec.
nobody can
You didn't
understand the
track.
specific thing.
You
What
didn't
did I did not
track.
track?
So you didn't track. So nobody was saying that the information was impossible for any agents to understand. We're just saying that if we have information
That's not what
and
I
there
said.
are no wait, if we have no information and there are no agents to interpret the information, then it cannot possibly be the case that the information is known. If the information is not known in that world, because again, for knowledge to be knowledge, it must be known currently. If it's not known currently, if it's not known in that world, then that means that it's not knowledge, it's just information that isn't known by any agent.
No, that no. Listen, this is the confusion that you're trying that you're like not understanding here. I'm saying essentially that either if you know this variable set that is unknowable within this conceivable universe or not, either way, if this information which is still existential, which you're trying to say or try to convey a distinction between knowledge and conceivable reason or conceivable information or whatsoever, I'm saying, right, conceivable information is still something understandable in a sense that even if you say it's on no agent there can understand said information is still can be conceived, and if it can still be conceived, that the tool of knowledge is a requirement for a specific thing. If the information is unconceivable, you can deem that as something that dependent upon the scenario or not the scenario or the identical essence within this thing that you claim is unconceivable. There are beings out there that you can claim as external, and their minds or understanding is completely different from ours. Logically speaking, the understand or conceivability that they have is logically distinct. But either way, if this information is conceivable, it's logically correlation or linkage towards knowledge. So I don't see how you all the shit that you just
Just
said is refusing
because,
my
wait,
argument.
one sec. Like this guy's actually an idiot. Just because, again, you're not answering
What
the
the
question.
fuck,
The
nigga?
question
Like,
is,
I don't see any reason for you to fucking say that, nigga. Like, I genuinely don't.
shut up, shut up.
But why
So,
you calling me an idiot, nigga?
question,
That's not necessary.
wait, can you just shut up?
Okay, we
Wait, can you just
continue,
shut up?
continue. Yeah,
Exactly.
sure, continue.
So, yeah, okay. So, again, the question was, why is it the case that knowledge is an essential property of the universe? Now, you saying that the information is linked to knowledge is not the same thing as you saying that knowledge is the essential property of the universe. Because what we're not trying to establish here is whether information is like the essential property of the universe. Somebody might be able
Well,
to
I mean, I
grant
can
that
give an argument
in
for that.
wait, let me finish. Somebody might be able
I
to
can give an
grant that
argument for why.
information. Wait, one sec, wait, let me finish. What the fuck? Let me finish. So somebody
Yeah,
might be able to
yeah.
grant that information is an essential property of the universe, but that doesn't establish
Mm-hmm.
that knowledge is an essential property in the universe. Because
Why?
information, I already told you that information does not entail
You're repeating yourself,
knowledge.
bro.
It might be the case that, wait, let me finish. What the fuck? Let me finish. Start speaking. The hell? Like, you're just making it very hard for me to actually finish. Somebody might be able to grant
Okay,
that.
continue.
Okay, okay, oh my god. Somebody might be able to
I'm
grant
saying
that.
continue, bro.
Yeah, why do you keep saying continue? I already know to continue. Just shut up. Just go on mute. The hell? So somebody
Okay.
might be able to grant that knowledge entails information, meaning that the concept of knowledge entails that the knower has some information about the fact that they know. But why would anybody grant that information entails knowledge? Why would anybody grant that the existence of information entails the existence of knowledge? Nobody would grant that. And so you saying that information is an essential property of the universe would not lead us to the conclusion that knowledge is an essential property of the universe.
Okay, so as you can see here, I've told you this multiple times, and you're literally just repeating yourself. I said again, right? If the information is an essential property within the universe, and this information is linkage towards the things or other phenomena within our universe, right? And as I said again, if the information is conceivable or inconceivable, that's dependent upon the scenario. Either way, if it's conceivable, right, which means it can still be understood, right? So the information, either way, which is conceivable, and since it can be understood, that is going to be depicted towards knowledge, my guy. Like, obviously, without knowledge, this information would not be conceivable to begin with. And either way, if you're going to say it's inconceivable, the information that is inconceivable, where external agent to that can either understand or not, that's dependent upon the attributes of this specific being that is dependent on their knowledge to understand said thing. Such as we have, like, analytically, we have like a Y being, like, let's say that in the universe, right? We have X person trying to convey or understood the phenomenon between an unconceivable information of, like, external to our universe. Now, if we have an X character, or let's say an X being external to the universe, and he has said attributes to understand said phenomenon, then obviously you can understand the fact that this thing specifically is still conceivable dependent upon the being in itself. Now, specifically, if it's conceivable, which is the information given out, it would have to be a linkage towards knowledge. If information, I mean, if knowledge doesn't exist, right, then said information cannot be conceivable. And you can agree with me that the universe requires essential properties that is conceivable information. Obviously, for us to understand the workings was in spatial temporal axes or gravity or other things, those are conceivable information that that we cannot grasp upon the information, and therefore the things that within this specific scope is not understandable in a sense, right? Now, obviously, as I granted again, that from the argument I presented, it is essential properties, which is the um, information in this case, and is conceivable. The knowledge, which is a requirement for this said thing to be conceivable, the information is granted and entailed towards knowledge. So yeah, you just repeated yourself. You granted that argument that there's a logical distinction between both. Analytically, it's not essentially saying the same thing, even though logically, if you're trying to connect the dots, it can still be understandable in the sense that, okay, all these things are actually correlated. Now, understand my argument. So yeah, you can go and give your refutation.
Okay, so you just did like a whole lot of yapping for like a few minutes. So I'll just respond to the points given. So one of the things that
Right.
you said is that wait one sec.
To clarify. I got a
Oh
question to
my
clarify.
god.
Do you have any disagreements with other premises, or you're just gonna argue with me on premise one? I mean
Well,
premise
yeah, I
two.
have disagreements with their premises, but this is the premise that I disagree most with.
Why?
So
Okay, sure. So we can, like, yeah, that's fine with me, bro.
we can move on to the
Wait.
premises
Why
later.
is
But
the?
wait,
Yeah. Okay.
okay. So let me just respond to what you're saying. So one of the things you said is that um, that information has like a linkage to the knowledge, but nobody's saying that information is not linked to knowledge. What we're trying to establish here is whether there's this logical entailment, there's a strict entailment between information and knowledge. There's a one-way entailment, but there's not a biconditional entailment. So the one-way entailment goes that if X has knowledge about Y, that entails that X also has information about Y, because what knowledge is just a justified true belief. And so if somebody has a justified true belief of something, that entails that they've gathered evidence, they've gathered justification about why, which is in turn information. Now, information is the just a state of the proposition or a state of any given form of data, but it doesn't need to be known because again, for something to be knowledge, it must be known. That's in the definition. And so when I say that X is known, that entails X is knowledge. When I say that X is knowledge, that entails X is known. Um, if the information is not known by an agent, that just entails that the information is not knowledge given the definition of knowledge, which is JTB. And so if we have a piece of information, it does not entail that any agent needs to have knowledge of this information. Because again, for you to have knowledge over a specific set or a specific piece of information, it must be the case that you have a belief in that information, right? You have a justified belief in that information. So you have evidence, you have justification to corroborate this information being true, and the information is actually true as well. But it need not be the case that for information to exist, it must be justified, true, and also be believed by an agent. Because again, knowledge is a type of belief, meaning that for knowledge to exist, there must be agents. Again, there must be agents. So knowledge is a type of mind dependent belief because for you to have knowledge, you must believe in the evidence. You must believe in the proposition, right? Now, I'm saying that you can have information and have nobody believe in it and it still be information, meaning that the existence of information does not entail knowledge. Because for you to say that the existence of information entails knowledge entails that there is an agent that knows about X. But it's not always the case where you have information and then there's an agent that knows about X. So I think you just shadow boxing. You just haven't proved that knowledge is an essential property of the universe again. Like in fact, you can go ahead and prove, and you can go ahead and establish that knowledge isn't a type of belief. Because again, for your argument to work, knowledge, either for your argument to work, okay, there's two ways your argument could work, right? For your argument to work, either there is an agent that has existed eternally and has known every single proposition and has known every single iota of knowledge, iota of information, or um, the information is mind dependent, right? And why would anybody grant that the information is mind dependent? And also, why would anybody grant the first proposition without already assuming that theism is true? So you can go ahead and prove those.
Okay, so as I said again, this is essentially just what you're essentially just kind of repeating everything you just said. You're not even gonna lie, bro. I'm just gonna say that you're the one who's actually like fucking shadow boxing. So let's just go back to the fucking chat real quick. As you said here, right, that link it doesn't equate to entailment in a sense. I grant the fact that they are linkage. Yeah, I know they're linkage and stuff, but I also said the fact that one, if the reason or knowledge is conceivable or not, right? It being conceivable is what deems the fact that knowledge has to exist in this case, right? So for the arguments that you presented, well, that if there is no specific agent or there is no specific being to essentially grasp upon this specific thing that you can deem as that's connected to knowledge or whatsoever, um yeah, no, because let's say, for example, that we remove all agents within this universe. Let's remove all beings that is capable of listening or understanding specifically on what this specific information specifically is or not. Since if we remove since all those humans agents specifically, this thing that is information is still conceivable, right? Listen, Deem. Let's just go about the definition on
Wait, I need to
conceivable
ask a
real quick.
question.
Hold
Wait,
on,
I need to ask
let
a
me just
question real
get
quick.
okay. Yeah, ask the
I
question.
need to ask a quick
Ask the
question.
question.
I need to ask a quick question.
Ask
Yeah.
the
So,
question. Ask
do
the
you disagree
question.
that knowledge is? Wait, do you disagree that knowledge is JTB?
What does
Yes,
that
no.
mean? What does that mean, bro? So yeah. Oh what? This nigga just. Okay, so what happened to you? What happened to him, bro? Okay, so I'ma just make this slow for everyone to understand, right? Okay. So Dad, you're probably confusing this one specifically. I think you're confused on what Rizan's arguing, right? Or what I'm arguing. Just look at this, right? Conceivable is an adjective, basically capable of being imagined or grasped mentally. Okay, so if it can be grasped, right, there has to be knowledge for it to be grasped. Now, let's say that knowledge doesn't exist. So, what is the information? it can the information be grasped or not? Because if there is no knowledge, then said information is not conceivable. But the fact that knowledge is conceivable, right, depending on the agent, then knowledge has to exist. The thing with Rizzhan is he's arguing that since if there is no agent to understand said information, right, it's not entailment for the fact that knowledge has to exist for fucking conceivable information, which obviously I directly claim as a contradiction based upon the definitions, right? I mean, Seamer is probably listening right now. Obviously, if you're gonna say that there is no agent, right, there isn't gonna be beings out there that could understand this said thing, right? They cannot grasp the said thing because they don't exist. But the said thing, which is the information, which is still conceivable, right, requires knowledge, essential property for this specific thing to exist, right? Obviously. Yeah, so now you understand what I'm saying. He's trying to, yeah, he's just trying to repeat what I'm saying, repeat himself. So you said, what do you think knowledge is, by the way? I'm saying knowledge is a link. Let me just go with the definition of knowledge real quick, huh? So yes, I hope you're listening and such. So like yeah, let's go to the definition of knowledge, right? So awareness. All right. So as you can see here, knowledge, facts, information, and skills acquired by an
Also, I
person
literally
through experience or
wait one
education.
sec. Wait
So
one
it's
sec. Wait one
information.
sec. Oh
Wait,
my
wait,
god,
wait,
one
wait,
sec.
wait, wait, wait.
Oh
I
my
haven't
god,
argued
I
yet, bro.
literally just said that I literally said that I wasn't here for the full 5 minutes that you were talking. So I had to
Yeah,
cut this.
I'm clarifying to the people that's confused right now. Okay, it doesn't really matter, but like, yeah, let me finish. I'm arguing, okay, and then you can go ahead and give your
Yeah,
argument
but I
against
literally
this.
told you. Oh my god. Oh my god. I told you that I didn't hear the answer to my question. The hell?
Yeah, you're gonna get the answer right now. So as I said
No, no, just
again,
answer
right?
the question.
Okay.
It's a
Oh,
yes
what
or
the
no question.
fuck?
So it should
What
be.
the
It's a yes
fuck?
or no question. So it should be
Nah.
easy.
Nah, hold on. What? Nah. Okay, yeah. So, yeah. Go ahead. My bad, bro. My bad, bro. I was like, yeah. Continue, bro. Yeah. Ask me a question.
Okay, so do you disagree or do you agree that knowledge is JTB,
What is JTB?
justified true
Define me
belief?
JTB first.
Justified
Justified
true belief.
true belief. I I think that's gonna. I won't essentially say that. I'm not even gonna. Are you gonna say that it's completely belief based, as in completely knowledge
Wait,
is
no,
literally based
wait,
on
no,
belief
no, no,
completely?
no, no,
Without
no.
beliefs, knowledge can't
Knowledge
exist.
is wait. Okay, so knowledge isn't completely based off belief. Knowledge is a type of belief, but knowledge is a type of belief that is justified and true. So again, this just ties back into what I'm saying. If you agree that knowledge is a type of belief, so when somebody says that I know X, they're saying that I believe X and X is true and X is justified. When they're saying that, or I believe
Mhm.
X, and when they say I know X, that's just them saying that I believe X, but with some extra parameters. If that's the case, then you'd just be conceding that knowledge is obviously posterior or knowledge is obviously posterior to information, and so it's not the case that there's some biconditional entailment between information and knowledge. Because if there was a biconditional entailment between information and knowledge, then one wouldn't be prior or posterior to the other. But it's obviously the case that knowledge is logically posterior to information.
Okay, so just to make this clear, all right. So you said that well, knowledge isn't belief, but knowledge is a type of belief, right?
Knowledge, yes, knowledge is a type of belief.
Can knowledge exist independent of the wait? My bad, bro. Hold up. So Um, yeah, hold up. Let me fix up my mic real quick. Uh, what the fuck? Yeah, okay. So my bad. Let's continue. Yeah. So yeah, let's just get back to what you're saying. That essentially knowledge is a type of belief. Not that knowledge is a belief, right?
Yeah, knowledge is a type of belief, and it's also a type of belief that's justified and true.
So let me ask you this: if belief doesn't exist, does knowledge not exist as well?
Yes, if there is no beliefs, then there are no knowledge, because knowledge is a type of belief.
Then I can essentially disagree on that specific framework you're arguing on. Because if you're gonna say
Okay, so
that,
what would be
okay,
the
if there, if
motivation for the
no,
disagreement?
no, okay, yeah, if knowledge, I mean, if beliefs doesn't exist, obviously, knowledge, I mean, not like that, right? You're saying that if belief doesn't exist, then knowledge should not exist. That's what you're saying, and I'm
Yes,
saying that
because for knowledge to
logically
exist,
speaking,
wait, let me just
yeah,
clarify. Let
yeah,
me
I'm
just
gonna
clarify.
continue
Wait,
arguing.
let
I'm
me just
saying
clarify.
that
Wait, let me just
knowledge,
clarify. Wait, let me just clarify
yeah,
what I'm saying. So you understand what I'm saying. So
yeah,
what I'm saying is just that what I'm saying just that for knowledge to exist. So when you say that, X has knowledge of Y, you're just saying that X knows Y. And so for knowledge to exist, there must be agents that we can index knowledge to. If there are no agents that we can index knowledge to, then knowledge just doesn't exist. At
Okay,
least in
so
that
yeah,
world.
that exactly that's gonna be the thing that I'm gonna be disagreeing upon. So from that specific proposition that you gave out, that essentially is trying to connect them is a biconditional between that if belief doesn't exist, obviously knowledge doesn't exist. That's the thing that you're holding. The thing here that I'm saying is that knowledge, or let's go back to the definition, right? Knowledge, facts, informations, and skills are acquired by a person through experience or
That's
education.
not a
Facts,
philosophical
information.
definition of knowledge. Not a
Well, that
philosophical
is like
definition.
okay. Well, that is like the
Yeah,
knowledge
that's
we
the
can all
colloquial
agree upon, right?
definition.
Not.
Wait, that's wait,
Yeah. So I don't really
that's the
see
colloquial
what's wrong with
definition.
that
Wait,
specific thing. Now I'm gonna yeah. Let me continue real quick, okay? So especially essentially saying that these informations and skills and facts, right, acquired by a person. The thing that we're gonna understand here is acquired through experience or education, the theoretical or practical understanding of the subject. Understanding acquired through experience. Those are the three things that you should understand here. Understanding is
that's
linked
not a
towards
philosophical definition.
conceivability.
That's an Oxford
Well, listen,
definition.
listen. Okay, so what do you okay define a philosophical definition of knowledge then? Go upon that, and we can
I
like
just gave you
argue
the
specifically.
philosophical definition, you absolute fucking retard. Like you're absolutely retarded. I
Yeah,
just gave you the definition
why is
twice.
this nigga oh
Wait,
bro, look, listen, it's not my
did I
fault your
not just give the
girlfriend sucked
definition?
some nigga's dick, bro. It's not my fault, man. Like I don't know why you fucking sending your anger to me, bro. It's just a fucking debate, bro.
Did I not just give the definition? Did I not just give the definition?
Well, it
Where I
doesn't
just
really
told you
fucking matter.
that knowledge
You
is
can
just
continue
attached to your
arguing
belief.
again.
I just told you that.
Well,
Okay, in fact, let me just
yeah,
send you the
listen,
screenshot.
listen.
Let
Okay,
me
okay,
just
okay.
send you the
Now this is the
screenshot.
thing that we're trying to
Let me
confuse.
just
Then,
send you the
okay, you
screenshot.
ask me if listen. You ask me right if I agree with that, and then you go on to argue that if knowledge can exist without belief, right? So logically speaking, if you're gonna deem it like that, obviously I'm gonna have disagreements with said definition that you propose. Now,
I already
obviously,
told
right?
you that
Since the
healthy
Oxford
definition, you idiot.
definition, right? No, fucking dumbass. Look at what the definition of knowledge is, right? Facts, information, skills acquired
Yeah, that's
from
a colloquial
understanding.
definition, but it's not the
Obviously,
philosophical definition.
yeah. I don't agree with the philosophical definition, then, which is what you're trying to ask me for.
Okay, so
Now,
what are the
firstly, let me continue with this
motivations?
argument. Then,
Don't just give me an opposing definition. Wait, don't just give me an opposing definition. What are the motivations for your disagreement? So what's the justification? What's the
yeah, I'm just
justification
gonna,
that
yeah,
leads you to
yeah.
believe that my wait, what's the justification that leads you to believe that the philosophical or my definition of what I think knowledge is false or does not capture what knowledge actually is?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna explain specifically to the obviously. Now, I'm gonna say that they're not biconditional in a sense. Belief and knowledge is not biconditional. Because I'm just gonna
Nobody
say
said
this. The
belief
reason
and
why I
knowledge are
disagree with that is
biconditional. Nobody
because
said that.
knowledge
Nobody
is a.
said that. Oh my God, nobody said that. Literally, nobody
Are
said
you a
that.
fucking
What I
dumbass,
said,
nigga?
wait, no,
Isn't
what
that
I
what
said,
you fucking said
wait,
earlier?
no, that's not what I said.
No,
No,
listen,
that's
no,
not what I
Rizwan,
said. Axiom, that's
listen,
not what I said.
Rizwan, let
Axiom,
me
you're
say
actually
something.
an
Wait,
idiot.
before
Oh
you
my God.
continue your arguing, listen. Let me say something, right? All right, what you said earlier, right? I even asked you two fucking times, right? I asked you, can knowledge exist without belief? Is that what you're saying? And you said,
But
yeah.
that
Now,
doesn't
if that is
imply
to
that
be
it's
the
a
case, that's a
biconditional
biconditional.
entailment. In fact, Axiom, for you to actually understand what I'm saying, you have to actually let me clarify. In fact, I don't even need to clarify because that's literally verbatim what I said. But what I said is that you cannot have knowledge without having a belief. But that doesn't imply that you can't have a belief without having knowledge. You can still have beliefs
What?
and there not be
Wait, what?
knowledge.
What? Are we, bro? Are we? What? Wait,
You
hold
can
on.
okay,
You
you can
literally
have
did. Well,
beliefs and not have them
listen.
as knowledge.
What? What? Wait, you can have belief without knowledge? Are we okay? Are we
Yes.
dead fucking assholes? Okay,
That,
so
have you not read 1 ounce of philosophy? Have you not read one philosophy book?
isn't this what you fucking said earlier, right? That okay, the belief completely based upon the knowledge and the thing that you know upon specific. If there is knowledge, what specifically believing What are you believing on? Like, if there's no
I said
conceptions that
knowledge
you have
is just.
knowledge
Oh my
on,
God!
what
Wait,
am
wait,
I
wait!
believing?
Axiom, axiom, axiom.
It's
You
a
cannot track
biconditional,
axiom.
my nigga.
You can't
It's
axiom.
a
You can't track. So
biconditional,
wait,
nigga.
wait. Just
Yeah,
let
what
me
is the
wait.
thing that I did
Axiom,
not track,
axiom, axiom,
anyways?
axiom, axiom, axiom. Let me finish.
Yeah,
Axiom.
can
Let me
I
finish.
continue
You just can't.
arguing though,
Wait,
please?
wait,
Can
wait,
I
wait, wait,
continue
wait, wait, wait,
arguing though,
wait, wait,
please,
wait.
bro?
Wait, you're not. Yeah, but you're not just gonna strawman what I said. Okay, what I said specifically is that knowledge is a type of belief, but knowledge is justified true belief, meaning that for the belief to qualify as knowledge, it must be true and justified. Now, I also said that you can have beliefs which don't
Okay,
qualify as knowledge
but
because
I'm
they
not
aren't
saying that they're the
justified and
same
they're not
thing, though.
true. What did you say?
Okay, here's the thing. This okay, so let's go back to the definition that you said, right? All right. So listen, audience. Okay, I don't care what monkey thinks. This is a fucking dumbass. So in this specific screenshot, I said justified true belief is a philosophical concept that defines knowledge as a belief that is both true and justified. Okay, you can conjunction both of them, right? But what I'm saying is, right, if fucking this said belief, either way, I'm saying that the linkage of knowledge is what I define as the understanding of something, and either way, the thing that you're understanding is conjunctioning to the belief itself. All right. Either way defines knowledge as a belief that is both true and justified. How are you gonna get the specific thing which is both true and justified without fucking understanding? Now I'm linking that if there is specific understanding towards knowledge, right? If understanding and specific knowledge is completely distinct, it's just a linkage. It's not the saying that that this is completely the definition of knowledge. In a sense that if knowledge doesn't exist, then belief doesn't exist. So there you can clearly see the distinction because I never agreed with the specific definition you're holding to. I obviously said that knowledge
Nobody
can't
said you
exist
agreed
without
to it.
fucking belief.
But what you did was you strawman
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
okay,
said.
but I'm saying
Nobody
that.
said you wait,
That's
wait,
what
wait,
I'm saying.
wait. No, nobody said
Yeah,
that
that's what
you
I'm saying
wait, wait,
essentially.
wait, wait, wait. Hold up, hold up, hold up. Nobody said that you agreed to it. But what I'm saying is that you strawman and you didn't track what I said. What I said specifically is that knowledge is JTB, meaning that when you say you have knowledge of a proposition, you saying that the proposition, you saying that you believe number one that you believe in the proposition, number one that the proposition is justified, number three, number two, that the proposition is also true. Now, I'm saying that you can have beliefs that do not qualify as knowledge, but all knowledge qualifies as beliefs. So, not all beliefs are knowledge, but all knowledge is beliefs. That's what I'm saying. It's literally that simple. Knowledge is a type of belief, but a belief is not a type of knowledge. That's literally all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, listen. Well, here's the thing what I'm going to say is, right? Again, belief is what you can deem as something that you're specifically what you think of it is to be the case, and for that to be acquired you need knowledge. Now if there is no knowledge,
No, you
then there's
don't.
specifically nothing you have to be. What? Listen, the thing is knowledge is based upon the agent, that right? So the agent specifically decides upon what is his
No,
belief on this. Okay, for
your
example,
knowledge
let's
can't be
say,
false.
listen,
Your
listen,
knowledge can't be false.
no, 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 no,
Your
no, no.
knowledge can't be false.
Yeah, it can be false, sir, but without
No, no,
specific
I said it
knowledge,
can't be
what are the
false.
things
Yeah,
that
I
you're
said it
trying to
can't be false.
understand?
So it's impossible for knowledge to be false because I already told you that when you say that you know a proposition, because what I'm saying is that when people say that they know propositions, they're saying that I believe that I know a proposition, but it could be the case that this belief is false. And so when they say that I know a proposition, it's not always the case that they actually know the proposition because I already told you that for a proposition to be known, the proposition must be true. You can't have knowledge that is false. And so if I say that the proposition is known, the proposition must necessarily be true. That's what JTB is.
Well, listen, okay, now you're just making this a different argument because I not because we're like arguing upon GTB. I'm like trying to argue specifically on why knowledge can't
That
exist
is
without fucking
JTB. What
belief,
I just
nigga,
said is
or
JTB.
like belief can exist without fucking knowledge. What you say?
What I said is
Now, okay,
JTB,
now we're
but
going
I'm
upon a
saying that
different.
even if wait,
Now
okay,
we're
even
specifically
if you
going
have
upon a different
wait,
argument, bro.
one sec, even if you have a conflicting definition, I told you not just to present the conflicting definition. What I'm asking you to do is I'm asking you to defend your disagreement. So what I'm asking you to do is I'm asking you to give motivation for why we should take your definition over the philosophical definition or over the definition that I'm using. You still haven't given the motivation because you're still operating under your semantics. What we need to do is operate under a neutral set of semantics. You can't just operate under your semantics because obviously your semantics already assume that what you're saying is true. You need to operate under a neutral set of semantics. And under that neutral set of semantics, you need to establish why your definition better accounts for knowledge than my definition.
Okay, so Rizhan, let's just get on track specifically, right? Because I'm pretty sure that we're not essentially like going like coherently in this case, because so the argument that we came earlier, right, is that you said that knowledge is essentially has to be true and specifically justified, right? And if this specific age, I mean, I'm saying logically that knowledge is essentially, right, that is the thing that is um um linkage towards your understanding, if that is to be the case, right? The belief or justified or not, justified or
Yeah,
not,
that's just a
if you
question,
have
Beg.
no
That's
knowledge,
a question,
what do you,
Beg.
what?
I'm
No,
asking you
it's
for
not, bro. We're like,
justification.
yeah, we're I'm
I'm
trying
asking
to
you for
we're trying to
justification.
go. Yeah, I'm giving the justification right now.
No,
I'm
you
saying
didn't. You just
knowledge
respond. You just
obviously
repeated
is
what you
the
said.
linkage. No, that it's not. I'm repeat. No, no, no. I'm like trying to justify, and specifically by repeating myself, by going on more further of the of like the context, the basis that I'm presenting. Okay, so listen to me, Rizhan. Right? Let's go upon specifically that. Well, justified true belief is what you can deem as knowledge, and I'm saying logically speaking, you're also saying that belief can exist without knowledge. And I'm saying logically, right? If belief is completely upon the thing that you're trying to understand or the basis or the thing that you earn from your fucking mind or whatever, if knowledge doesn't exist, you cannot gain those said information and there is no beliefs that you can formulate. Now that is the thing that we're going from on that specific scope. Now we're going back to the main argument earlier. So as I said again, I don't deem it as knowledge is specifically that without beliefs knowledge cannot exist. I never argued on that. I never agreed on that specifically. I'm saying, right? I want you to fucking understand, right, that knowledge is just a linkage between this belief and the agent in this case, but fucking belief is not completely conjunctioning towards knowledge. Without fucking knowledge, it's not
I asked you
essentially
what's
just
the
saying that
justification for that.
okay,
What's the
yeah,
justification?
I'm giving the justification. Yeah, listen, I also gave out the justification earlier, actually. So
No,
if
you
you didn't
didn't. You just
fucking
repeated what
listen,
you
if
said.
you didn't fucking listen, no, I did. What? If you didn't fucking listen, look, listen. I'm not even able to keep my arguments right. It's because you're always fucking over talking me, right? I let you speak earlier. So, right. Let's just go back to the specific thing. And I'm saying the reason why I don't believe in such that you're arguing is because I'm saying, right, that the I believe so that understanding is completely based upon the knowledge. And if there is no specific agent from our universe, right, it's not to essentially say knowledge doesn't exist. No, I'm saying prior to that, knowledge is just something that you can simply grasp upon or understand upon. If there's no agent, specifically the information that is conceivable, either way, external to that, no humans specifically on that universe, that specific information can still be conceivable on a distinct framework. It's not essentially
Wait,
saying that,
you're an
okay,
idiot. Wait,
since
oh,
there
calm
is
down,
no
bro.
human
This guy's dumb.
specifically on this, there is no knowledge. No, why are you cutting me off, bro?
This guy's
Now, that
dumb.
is the
This guy's
reason. That's
actually
my
dumb.
justification as to why
He's
I
actually
don't hold
dumb.
the same belief
Wait, I
that you're
already
trying to
told you. Wait, wait,
formulate.
wait. Axim, Axim,
Obviously, the
Axim,
same belief
Axim.
that
Wait,
I'm saying,
Axim, I
right?
told you at
That
the start of the. Wait,
conceivability. No, no,
Axim, I
no, no,
told
no,
you at
no,
the
no.
start
Let
of
me
the.
continue. Let me continue.
Okay,
Let me
you can go.
continue, bro. Finally, bro. Like, okay. I don't know why you're cutting me off. I let you continue earlier. So, that's my reasoning, okay? And I could also give out more examples earlier on, later on, or whatever. Belief is just completely based upon the agent. Now, obviously, I'm saying that the linkage is knowledge, right? The knowledge is what specifically formulates the belief. It's not to say that without belief, knowledge doesn't exist. No, knowledge is external to that, but knowledge is what you can deem as conjunction or connected, not in the sense that without fucking belief, knowledge doesn't exist. Now there is the understanding that you're trying to convey specifically from my argument on why the thing that you're saying is inconsistent or the proposition to claim that knowledge can exist without fucking belief or something. Yeah, so obviously, right, now given from the given analytics, obviously that I'm trying to convey here, that if there is fucking information within our universe that is conceivable or not, that is still understandable. Now, with the distinct argument that if there is no fucking humans, that specific thing is still conceivable, meaning it can be understood. If it can be understood, that's a linkage towards knowledge, right? Now, if I'm gonna say that the information is an essential property, then knowledge would also be deemed as an essential property for linkage towards our understanding, specifically to justify the existence of this said thing. Now, when you're trying to connect both or connect the dots logically, then the P2 would be justified upon my syllogistical proposition or my fucking like inference rule. So yeah, go ahead, bro. You're just repeating all the shit that you're saying, and then we're just like literally just going up on circles and circles. So yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, okay. So that was a whole nothing, bro. Because I literally remember saying at the start of the debate slash discussion, whatever. I remember saying that the distinction between you knowing a proposition and the proposition being knowable, or the information being knowable. Now, I can grant that the information is knowable, but just because you say that the information is knowable, it's not the same thing as saying that the information is knowledge. Because when you say that information is knowable, you just say that, oh, there might be a possible world, or there might be a possible scenario in which an agent can gain knowledge of Y, but it doesn't mean that any agent actually has knowledge of Y. And so, even if you just say that the information is conceivable or it's understandable information, that doesn't matter to me because that doesn't establish that the information is knowledge. That establishes that the information is knowable given some metric in some other world. What I'm trying to say is that when you say that an agent has knowledge of the proposition, they must currently have the knowledge of the proposition. It's not that in the future they'll gain knowledge of the proposition or in some other possible world they have knowledge of the proposition. But it's actually the case that they must have knowledge of the proposition. And so having a knowable proposition is different from having a proposition that is known. Because when you say that you have a knowable proposition, you're just saying that it's possible for the proposition or it's possible for the information to be known. So this doesn't qualify as knowledge because if you're simply just saying that the information doesn't actually have to be knowledge, but it can just be knowable information, that doesn't qualify as knowledge. That would never ever qualify as knowledge. It would just qualify as knowable information. And so this literally has no relevance to me. You still haven't established why information is essential to the universe. You've only established that number one, the information is knowable. I can grant that the information is knowable, but being knowable again does not entail being knowledge. What we're talking about is whether the information is actually knowledge. And so I can grant that the information is essential to the universe and it's knowable. But as long as the information is not knowledge, you wouldn't have established your position. And so you haven't established your position like within like the 40 minutes or so, I think, that we've been debating. So
No,
we can just
okay, no,
conclude.
it's no. So, yeah, this is the thing that you're now getting confused upon. Because, well, you said that okay, that if there is a knowable variable, it didn't necessarily like acquire or like define as knowledge in a sense. Well, I'm just gonna give out this specific argument. Essentially, what I'm saying is, if it's knowable, right, it can still be understand, right? And I define that as part of knowledge. It can be acquired. It can be acquired specifically from the information given out. Rizzhan, listen, this is the thing that you're trying to confuse about, right? You're trying to distinguish it because the fact that knowledge is specifically from the beliefs of said person or that they are trying to gain from this specific set or whatever. But if the set is knowable without any agent specifically, the knowledge has to exist for that thing to be understandable, right? Obviously, for the information to be understandable, there has to be knowledge. If there is no knowledge, then it cannot be understandable. It's not that it's essentially saying that being knowable and being based upon the knowledge or something. I'm saying that logically they're connected. Because obviously you can say that okay, being a knowable thing and being a knowledge, you can say that analytically it's something different if you're gonna define it as knowledge completely belief based. But essentially without fucking knowledge, there is really nothing you can understand from this specific set.